Hey everybody, it's Christina from Creations with Christina, and welcome back to another Stampin' on Friday episode. Today we're going to be making a card using the Lawn Fawn. This is a new stamp set called Summertime Charm, and I'm also using the die set that coordinates with it. They just started making dies. And then I'm trying out for the first time some of their pattern paper, so I'm going to use the Pink Lemonade. And then I also will be using their some of their lawn trimmings twine, which is that right there. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start out by doing my stamping first. I already have my jar onto my stamp press, and I'm going to be using some Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And then I will be using the little strawberry that comes in that set. I'm going to stamp that down towards the bottom. And then I'll also stamp one on the side here. And then to finish up my stamping, I'm going to stamp the little label that goes on the inside of the jar. And I just stamped that right onto a piece of pattern paper that came from that paper pad. And then I also have my thanks sentiment, so I'm going to stamp that on there as well. And that is it. I'm pretty sure that's it for my stamping. So before I start die cutting, I want to color in at least this one cherry. I did stamp it out already and tested some of my coloring. So I'm going to use R22 and R24. So I wanted to color this one in first, just to make it a little easier for after it's cut out, because it is small, so it takes... You have to hold on to the little piece, so it's easier to color it in first before you cut it out. So I laid down R24 first, just did a little highlighting with R24 around the edges, and went back with my R22. And then I'm going to use YG93 for my leaves of my strawberry and my stem. And then I'll also do, since I have these out, I will also do the jarred strawberries too. And then for the strawberries inside the jar, I'm just going to use the R22 and not add any of the R24, because I want them to look a little like they're behind the glass. So I am going to leave those just with the R24, or R22 rather. Alright, so I'm ready to do my die cutting, and I have my die shape here. And what you do with the Lawn Fawn dies is you just look and make sure that your image is right inside the center part of your die. So you look for the stamp lines and line them up. And then I'm just going to take a piece of washi tape to hold those down. So I have my platform on all of the tabs down. I have one of my plates, I have my die and my paper. And then I'll just take my other plate and run this through. And now and pop these out. And we're all ready to start putting some of our card together. Before I do that, I'm going to take my little label that I stamped out on my pattern paper and just use my scissors to do a little fussy cutting. This label doesn't have a die shape, but it's super easy to cut out. So I'm just going to take my Memento black marker and just go right around the edges of this label piece that I cut out. And then we're going to do a little bit more Copic coloring with my jar here. I'm taking B000 and I'm going to do just a little thin line going around the inside of the jar. I just wanted to make it look like glass. So I'm just taking that and just going right around the edges. And then I'll come back with my blending marker, which is the 0, and kind of feather that out. And then for the lid, I'm using W3. Just laying a coat down of this over the entire lid piece. And then W5 to do some little highlighting on the edges. So I'm just going from the edge to the center on both sides. And then I'll come back with my W3 and blend that in. I'm going to start off with a piece of 11 by 4 1/4 cardstock, and this is just Paper Tray Inks white cardstock. And I'll take my score buddy and do my score line at 5.5 inches. And then I took a piece of pattern paper from the paper pad and I cut that down to 3 inches, and I just need to trim it down now to 5.5. So it's 3 inches by 5.5. So it's the same size as the front of our card. And then I'm going to take another piece of pattern paper, and I use this to do my little thanks label. And I'm going to use this punch. I don't recall the name of it. It's supposed to do the big, larger scallop punches and then the embossed circles, but it doesn't actually do those embossed circles. Well, it does, but it's very subtle. So I am going to use that to take a nice scallop border. And then we'll trim this down. Just going to take some adhesive and adhere that down to the back of, or the edge of this pattern paper here. And then using my scissors, I'll just trim this piece off. And this will get adhered right down to the front of my card, but I'm going to add some of this twine on here first. So we're going to use the Lawn Trimmings twine. I'll wrap this around a couple of times. And then just to make sure it's held down nicely, I am going to add a little bit of washi tape to the back. Then this gets adhered right to the front of our card, just like so. And then I'm going to start putting together my little jar. I'm going to take my label and adhere that down. I'm just going to put some adhesive on the back of that label. I'm going to take that extra strawberry that I cut out. So by doing the strawberries in just the plain one color, it kind of muted them so it looks like they're inside the jar, and then the strawberry on the front is on the label. So then the last thing we're going to do is just go ahead and pop these up on the front of my card here. And there we go. That's our card for today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time.